Welcome everyone. The topic for discussions in today's presentation is all about negotiation skills. Remember, we are social animal and during our social interaction there are certain disputes, there are certain discussion, there are certain point of which view which we do not collide, we do not concur with. In fact, we actually collide with those point of views, and how to come across this precarious situation is what we will be discussing as far as negotiation skills are concerned. Let us put forward the best way to understand negotiation is to understand the practices by learning techniques. You don't get what you deserve. Probably you get what you negotiate for. In fact, that is what been stated altogether. International trade negotiations among the most complex negotiations ever have taken place. Negotiation is crucial in multilateral trades, has great impact on the wealth of the country and its population thereby. So let us proceed, let us view it in with a very close quarter. Its importance is not questionable, but can a pattern be established for a good negotiation? Definitely, in today's society, the environment is getting dynamic. In fact, everybody wants to bargain for the better or the bigger pie, the slice of the pie that comes around it. And in such a context, you need to have a wonderful negotiation skill so that at least the parity has to be maintained. And if possible, the larger slice of pie should come towards your end. So that is what negotiation skill is all about. It is acquired through practice and probably with a learning technique that comes around it. You look what is happening in and around the world. There are countries which are in conflict with each other. There are issues which is contentious between various countries, various communities. What is good for one particular country might be detrimental for other country as such. In such a fashion, how do you mitigate? How do you proceed so that you come with a win-win solutions? Basic principle, what do we go about negotiation? Is it the strategy that needs to follow the structure or the other way around? Structure shapes in which negotiations have been conducted. In fact, it tells out where the power center is all about it. In your case, carefully analysis is required. What about the issue, the topic, the point of contention, the bone of contention is there about it, the context on which people are negotiating, the background, the history that needs to be discussed around. How are rules established? Who establishes them? Is there a some margin of maneuvering to play within the rules? Pre-existing attitude, as the case might be. Assessment of partners' respective power, as we call it. That is what we are looking forward to, the basic principles. Remember the structures, the shapes that is validated out here. We need to understand from what angle, from what perspective a person is putting across his or her point of view. So good strategies absolutely shape structure. In fact, I also believe such things. In your negotiation game, you can shape the game as well as it played. You need to have strategies in place. You need to have alternatives, options, viable opportunities in the stake, and you should be ready. I again reiterate the word, you should be ready to give an inch, lose a battle, but win the war, or probably win a mile. Rules are influenced by actions of the participants on setting of the agenda. The way you present your point of view, it might be an emotional appeal, it can be a conceptual appeal, it can be a logical appeal. Creating coalitions, leveraging linkages, linking or delinking issues to create momentum. Sequence of move at the table and act away from the table. This is what we are supposed to do around it. We need to talk every now and then as for what is the sequence of move, what is happening during the negotiation process, and what is happening away from the negotiation, probably pre to the event or prior to the event, as the case might be. So the rules of negotiations and the rules of the game, what are the rules the game which we follow around it? Remember, winner of the negotiation is the one who can best shape the negotiation. Common mistake is to take the structure of negotiation as given below. think strategically, but probably take every opportunity that might present itself. Be opportunistic at all point of time, but always have the longer term perspective in place. Expect to be surprised and have to modify your initial approaches as the case might be. Organize to influence, move out of the table. Preparation of the phase as important as moves at the table. Now, what I'm talking about out of the table and at the table, it is the event when negotiations are on, when you are trying to resolve the dispute, when you are trying to come up with a solution at the table. You are cross with your opponent, with your opposing parties, with the parties with a different point of view, that is at the table. But what happens, there are many moves that is coming out of the table also. People are looking into different contextualization, different understanding before coming to a conclusion. So organize, ensure you are not only negotiating with the party, but you're also forming an opinion in the media. You're also forming some sense of consensus among the public with respect to your stance. You need to play the game in the truest of all spirit as the case goes around it. So yes, moves out of the table at the preparation phase, during the phase, and outskirt after the event. What are the outcomes and how do you move the media, the public, and the opponents accordingly is as important as when you're discussing or negotiation at the table. So, building coalitions, secure support as wide as possible. Did I say you should incorporate the media? You should inculcate the public towards your favor and state your position very clearly. Make yourself visible as to from what angle you are discussing, what angle, what is the dispute all about it, how it is hampering your initiatives. So that is the first step. Support, get support from anybody and everybody. Identification of the influential parties, their interest and the sources of power, analysis of possible allies and potential blockers as the case might be. Coalition can also be defensive, not to be cut off the deal. Agricultural negotiation, avoid too broad and vague goals as scenarios towards. Play the frame game. Conflict come from the substantial disagreement, but sometimes also from misunderstanding on language per se. Reframing to define the problematic issues, present it with a different angle, facilitating the creations of values and consensus building as the case might be. We need to understand. We need to build the situation in our favor. We need to clarify the doubts. We need to clarify our position clearly. That is the reason why I am stressing about it. When we are negotiation, we are not only negotiating with the opponent parties, we are also mooting support from the general public. We are also mooting support from the media and different sections of the society, come what way what may. So reframe the problematic issues from different angle and appeal to what every stakeholders might be having a soft corner for it. Reframe to claim value, win the battle of the public opinion, which is of very important justification. Coming upon the sequencing to create momentum. What is sequencing? Let us understand. In order to approach the stages of negotiation, staging the process itself is sequencing. In the diagnostic phase, what we do about it, explore the relative merit of negotiation and alternative course of action. Rather, I would say collect as much of data as possible from n numbers of corners. Why these data are required? Because these are going to fortitude your arguments and information. Constructive phases, this is where diagnostic phase is all about it. In the formula phase, parties seek the basic formula for agreement. As to win-win situation, you should not be looked upon as a weaker party altogether. It is the core set of principles that will serve as an overarching framework for the agreement. Absolutely. Detailed bargaining phase, attention shifts to the bargaining over a specific terms. Remember, it is always the first movers who will have the advantage. The first movers will have that emotional angle which needs to be played as an aggrieved party, and as a weaker or an aggrieved party, people or the general public has a softer corner for them. So yes, you have to stage the process, diagnostic phase, formula phases, and detailed bargaining phases, as the case might be all about it. Multi-channel influence, public relation, contact with the press. Be careful not to harm your coalition. Be careful not to harm the image that you are building. In fact, I would insist on incorporating or involving the media in building your public opinion, or building a case for your supports in the position of the dispute. Public relation is all that will make or sway the sentiments in your favor. You might eventually, I reckon the worst thing is you might eventually lose the negotiation but win the hearts of the general public. And believe me or not, it is going to pay dividends in distant future sometime, definitely. The negotiation dilemma is of getting the big slice of a small pie or reasonable slice of a larger pie, as the case might be. Remember to create value. Remember, this is what you need to learn, as to create value, truthfully share information about the interest in order to identify opportunities to create values, as the case might be. Whenever you create value, you can enhance it or extend it to claim the value, as to gather as much as accurate information about the walkaways, the news anchoring and commitment tactics to claim the value, as what we have come across with it. So first create value, first create a position for yourself as to why you've been looked as an aggrieved party or the dispute. What is your position? Now, based upon it, do a fact finding mission, do all gather any numbers of data and information which supports your claim. Probably you are establishing or building a case in your favor to claim the value. Now, as the case, we will go about shaping perception in the media, in front of the different stakeholders, the general public in particular, in front of them, create values in reframing the negotiations to emphasize the integrative possibilities about the win-win possible scenarios, about the lose-win or win-lose scenario, what will happen, what goes wrong, how it will be impacting in future. So look for it, reframe the negotiation, and then possibly go across to claim the value by let's say mislead counterparts about priorities in orders of claim, probably changing on the priorities to value what makes the trade much more feasible and fruitful. Let us come to the last slide of the presentation. It's the negotiator. Remember, the negotiator is nothing but a chess player. You have to have the ability to look at the broad picture, the big picture, set concrete goals. Then from this goals, devise not only strategy but also tactics for achieving the goal. It is rare ability to combine big things with small, to see the forest and at the same time identify individual trees at process. Now that is what I call the negotiator. Negotiators should have the big picture in mind but never miss the minute details, because you will always remember to capture your values in the minor details, and at the overall expenses. The major picture, the big picture should not be lost at any cases per se. With these thoughts, I would come to the end of the negotiation skills presentation. Hope you've understood how to be a wonderful negotiator and ensure that you have the biggest slice of the pie that is available out there. Thank you for watching this video.